Hey everybody. So I have a 2008 Starcraft Islander, which is an aluminum riveted hull boat that, if you look up underneath here, has an anti-fouling paint that is peeling off like crazy. This boat is not kept in the water. The previous owner did, hence the anti-fouling paint. I've done research on the internet. I've called companies about using spray-on bed liner type material to replace that because I don't want it to be bare aluminum. And excuse me, let's face it, marine paints are really expensive, and I don't want an anti-fouling paint. This boat does not stay in the water, so it's pointless. That paint dries, it falls off, just like you're seeing here. So I took it upon myself to tackle this project. Might have been hopefully not too much I can chew. Bit off more than I can chew. First thing I did, start with the pressure washer. Blasted the entire bottom of this hull. Got all the loose paint off I could get to. I still have to get it off the trailer. It is a bunk trailer. I do have the plastic guides on top of the bunks now. Those went on last year. I've had this boat since 2010, so 7 years. Everybody's, you read on these forums, the whole truth and whatnot, they all tell you, don't do it. It won't last, this, that, and the other. Well, if it'll hold up in the bed of a truck and you throw stuff on it, it gets gas on whatever, and they hold up, why wouldn't it hold up in water? I mean, the boat does not live in the water. This boat lives on its trailer, probably, with the exception of the couple trips I take a year that are 3-4 days long. The boat doesn't weigh that much. It's probably about 2,300 pounds with both motors hanging off the back. So far, I have done a couple spots. So here's my extension, which I finished up today. I still have to do the underneath, which I have not done yet. But as you can tell, it's coming out quite nicely. I mean, it's not very rough. Everybody says the same thing. Oh, that stuff is really rough. Really, it's not. I've been surprised at how smooth it went on. I'd say it's no rougher or no smoother than the anti-fouling paint that was on it. So I'm still working up here. I kind of got the easier parts just because it's easier to get to, obviously. But as you can tell down underneath, I mean, there's still a lot to do. I mean, I've probably only got, I don't think I got a quarter of this done yet. I spend a couple hours a day on it. It's a big project. I mean, don't kid yourself. If granted, it's a big boat. If you're doing this on a John boat, you can knock this out in probably a couple days of stripping it down. I mean, with that shoot, you can have it sandblasted. And I did call on that, to have a mobile blaster come out that uses glass, not sand or metal. It was going to be pushing $2,000. Would it be worth it? Yeah, probably, because I know the hull would be down to bare metal. It would go in around these rivets, no problem. Everything would be good to go. But again, money, it's an issue. I mean, I don't know about you. I don't have just a couple grand sitting around that I can spend to have it done. So I've tried a few things. I've tried with some of this stripper, paint stripper here. This stuff was worthless, at least this Strip X stripper. I bought an aerosol version of it first to try it, and it worked actually halfway decent. The paint came off pretty easy. The primer that was used on this paint, I think, is a high zinc primer or something, because it's on there. This stuff is on here. Excuse me again. So the areas that I've been getting it down to bare metal, I wash it off, then I take acetone, wipe it down with acetone, let that evaporate. Hit it with self-etching primer, which it's aluminum. That's what you do, self-etching primer, right? Let that cure up for a little while, and then spray the bed liner. Couple just light coats. I don't need it super thick. This is what I'm using. Duplicolor truck bed coating. They got it at Napa. It's $10 a can. It would probably be cheaper for me to buy the gallon that I can get on Amazon and a few other places. It's about $80-90. But then you got to buy, they tell you can roll it on. Honestly, I don't think I would want to roll this stuff. It is pretty thick. I mean, if anybody's messed with this bed liner stuff, it's pretty thick stuff. I decided to stick with the aerosols. I can do it, in small batches. Granted, these spray cans probably don't go as far as the gallon jug will go. If you were to buy as many of these cans, to be equivalent to a gallon of the gallon jug. So But so far, it's going on good. So a test I did when I first tried this, just to see how well this is going to hold up, because let's face it, nobody seems to know how this stuff's going to hold up. So I came up here and I started up here on my starboard bow, which was one of the worst areas. I mean, let's face it, this is where the boat, you know, when everything's going through water, this is the first places that gets hit. I did a section, did about a 12 inch by 12 inch square. Same thing, sanded it, got it down to bare metal, hit it with the acetone, and then again with the self-etching primer, and then the bed liner. Let it cure up, hit it with the pressure washer. Figure if it doesn't come off under the pressure washer, with the it's got the rotating head or whatever, so it kind of spins, and they call it their dirt blaster or whatever. Now, granted, this is not an industrial one. This thing is 2,700 psi max. So let's just say for gee whiz, 2,000 psi of blasting pressure against that material, and it didn't come flying off. I think it'll hold up. Obviously, after this season's over, we'll tell whether or not this time and the amount of money I'm going to dump in. I mean, realistically, time-wise, I couldn't even tell you how long it's been. Right now, I've probably already got, just in what I've gotten done, is probably pushing 15 to 20 hours. And I've got a long way to go still. I'm going to be into this thing probably almost close to 100 hours, I would bet you, by the time it's said and done and ready to go back in the water next month in April, when we head up to the Straits of Juan de Fuca for 4 days. But money-wise, I mean, I'm in maybe $150 so far between buying primer, the acetone. I had to go out and I went and bought a 4.5 inch grinder, and then bought the adapter wheels to rip the paint and stuff off. I mean, so there's another. I mean, I just bought a cheap Ryobi at Home Depot. It was like 29 bucks. And then a couple of the stripping wheels. Those are things add up fast, but they do work. This one here, this thing takes this paint off like it's nobody's business. These are $10 a wheel, and unfortunately they don't last very long, but they do work really, really well. The other thing I've been using that's been working pretty decent are the sanding flapper discs. This is an 80 grit flapper disc. About $7 for one of these. They do last a lot longer, but it doesn't do what that other wheel does. So I've picked up, I think, 3 of those other wheels. So there's $30. The grinder was $30. The stripper was $8 or $9. Again, the the spray-on bed liner. These are $10 a can, and I've bought 4 cans. I mean, so like I said, you know, you start adding it up. I mean, I'm probably sitting at about $150 right now, and I've probably got, oh geez, I don't even know how many more cans of primer and how many more cans of that I'm going to need. It's just, I don't know. I'll probably be into this probably close to $300, I'm guessing, by the time it's all said and done. But what I've started doing on this side's a little different, because it seems like this side adhered better. The areas that were down, I could see it flaking. I just went ahead and knocked it all the way back. You know, how far back away from the area that was starting, and a lot of it was due to the oxidation is what was causing, I think, this to peel off. You know, salt water got down and behind it somehow, and it caused it to oxidize. And that's what this aluminum does. It oxidizes to protect itself, right? I could probably leave it alone, let it oxidize on its own. Excuse me. Oxidize on its own, but sorry, it's gonna look like crap. I love this boat. I've had it, like I said, since 2010. Not many of them out here in Washington. A couple of the 19 footers. This one's actually designated as a 21 foot, but with this, which I guess you call them offshore brackets and whatnot. Back to the back of my Mercs there, she's 24.6. So in all intents and purposes, she's 25 feet. It's a light boat, and I wanted something with this bottom connecting that's going to flex. I mean, it's a riveted hull boat. You know these things are going to flex. It's just like a plane. I worked on planes for over 20 years. I know, you know, these things tweak and bend and twist, and you know, you got to have a paint that's going to move with it. Well, what better than a bed liner type material that has a rubber texture that's going to flex, it's going to twist, it's going to bend with whatever it's attached to. I mean, to me, it makes sense. I'm not an engineer to tell you the chemical compounds of this stuff. Couldn't tell you. Honestly, don't really care. Does it work? So what I'll do is I'll give it a year this whole season, and I'll see where we're at with this after it's all said and done. If I have to do any touch-ups, I would expect a little bit just from coming on and off the bunks. Imagine a couple little spots that may just rub off. But overall, I don't really see this coming off. As long as I keep my prep going the way I've been doing, there's times where I get frustrated and I just want to say, the heck with it, let's just scuff it and paint it. But I know it's not the right thing to do. I just got to suffer through it. Of course, it sucks laying under the trailer, working above your head. It does make a mess. This stuff is slung stuff everywhere. You can kind of see here on the steps of my wheel wells. I mean, that stuff is all dust. I don't know if you can see it there on the trailer. That's all dust from just knocking this paint off. I am wearing a face mask. I didn't the other day, not really realizing it, and then went inside, looked at the beard. It was like, holy cow, I was covered in dust. So, been wearing like basically rain gear and rubber boots. It is Washington after all, and it is the beginning of March. It still rains here quite a bit. It quite downpoured all day yesterday. I did not do anything on this boat yesterday just because of the weather issues. Today I've got probably get 4 hours into it already. I did some pressure washing again back here on the extension. I tried the paint stripper on the bottom side because I have not accomplished the bottom yet, which I don't know how well you can see underneath there. And that's going to be my next goal. As you can see, I got to there all the way down the middle. You can just see how that paint, that anti-fouling paint is just coming off. But it does that over time. And I talked with one of my local boat shops. They told me, do you keep the boat in the water? I said, nope, it's an aluminum boat. I'm not keeping it in salt water more than, 3-4 days at a time, just for corrosion issues. And they said, that's the problem. That paint has to stay wet in order to not flake off. It'll dry, it shrinks, it cracks, it peels, and off it comes. He asked me how long it had been on here. I told him not really sure. The former owner, I think had it put on the year he got the boat, which was I think 2008. So you figure that this bottom paint's been on here over about 8 years. That's not too shabby for some sort of a bottom paint. So enough of me babbling. I'm going to go ahead and get some more work done on this. And I'll just kind of keep posting updates on how things are coming along and how it's looking. And then maybe next year, after this season's over in August or September, and it might be into September this year, depending on what our regulations are going to be for salmon. And see how it's holding up. And if other people out there are thinking about it, trying it, I mean, why not? I mean, what do you really have to lose? I know I've got some up here on top of the boat on the rails, just above the gunnels that are basically Line-X'd if you wish. I don't know if you can really see the texture in that stuff, but you can see how textured that is. All right, that's really got aggressive a texture to it. You come down here to the back where I sprayed, and I don't know if you can see it or not. I'll try to get a good, but it's not even close to the texture. So yeah, I guess if you're gonna do some of these yourself, if you want it really aggressive, you take a brush and you tip the dang thing. Some of the other stuff I read on with these cans do-it-yourselfers, if you're using an air compressor and a spray gun, crank the air pressure up to like 75, 80 psi, and then keep the gun back as far as you possibly can. And apparently it comes out really, really smooth. If you want it really textury, you turn the air pressure down and get closer, and it does more of a blob effect, I guess, than a nice even spray. So, I mean, even my truck has a Line-X in it, and this thing has been in here forever, and this thing gets abused. I mean, I throw stuff in here. This truck hauls debris and wood and gravel and all kinds of, and that thing is held up beautifully. So nothing against Line-X. I think they're a great product, but price is gonna get you. So you can either go in and pay professionally to have it done and spend thousands of dollars. Granted, they're gonna warranty it, I hope. I don't know if they will because it's a boat, but we'll see what happens. So stay tuned. We'll update probably in a month or so, and then I'll update again at the end of the year. So thanks for watching.